Hi everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about some hot foil resist, creating some snowflake cards with products from Papertrey ink, and of course hot foiling these amazing backgrounds. I could not stop with just one background, so we're going to go ahead and do 4 today. I always think while you have the supplies out, you might as well make more than one. This is also a really good example of taking products that were released during the holidays or prior to the holidays and utilizing them beyond the holidays, which is something that I think is really important, and it kind of extends the life of the products we purchase. So using my Glimmer Spellbinders hot foil machine, I have got the Cascading Dots hot foil plate from Papertrey ink, and I believe this was the November release, and this is something that could be used all winter long. It's an awesome snow background. I am going to foil the Cascading Dots on hammer mill cardstock using some silver foil from Spellbinders. And I'm using the bright silver, not the matte silver today, and I'm going to do this 4 times. You could totally switch up the colors if you want to. Once the machine is heated up and you've pushed the start button and that is solid, you can go ahead and run the platform through your die cutting machine, and then you're left with beautiful results. Literally, this hot foil plate foiled amazing. I don't know if it's the combination of a new foil machine, this hot foil plate. I do love that the hot foil plate, you can see it's cut around all of the cascading dots, which really does eliminate overfoiling. But I went ahead and foiled this 4 times, and I have 4 backgrounds. Now my personal preference is to foil on a half sheet of cardstock and then trim it down later, usually with a rectangle die, or it could be a circle die or a frame die or a square die, whatever the case may be, because it really allows you to be or be a little more precise and not have to worry about lining up the hot foil plate perfectly. Next, this is the hot foil resist portion of the video, and I wanted to share, embossed resist is something that we probably as card makers all love to do, but the hot foil resist really works pretty much the same, meaning you foil and then you apply ink over the top, wipe the ink away from the foiled portions, and you're left with a beautiful colored background and foiling in that background of the design. It's super simple, super easy, and the results are beautiful. I am taking trios of Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink and applying it right over the cascading dots. And you can see that the dots are retaining the beautiful foiled effect. I'm going to do this with 4 different combinations of ink from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going dark up at the top to light. So I'm using the entire trio, or, all of the colors in that, to give me these gorgeous results. So I'm just going to continue to apply the ink over the top. I'm not too worried about going to the edge of the cardstock because I haven't trimmed down the background yet. You could also go ahead and die cut the background first and then ink it if you'd like. I'm just taking a dry cloth, you can take a dry paper towel, and I'm buffing away any ink that might be sitting on top of the foiled area when I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up while I ink these remaining 4 panels. So we're just going to go with like a little bit more of a royal blue color combination here, and then a couple of purple. Now I did very much go with a wintry theme, I suppose I should say, with the blues and the purples I picked for the cards. I think these cards would work for all kinds of different occasions during the winter months, and also for holiday. Maybe you're already looking ahead to next year's holiday cards, and these would be absolutely gorgeous. I would maybe switch up some of the greetings and things, but I think that they would work really, really nicely. You could also do a rainbow of cards if you wanted, kind of similar to some of the rainbow cards I created with the January 2023 Simon Says Stamp card kit. I will link to that video at the end of this one if you're looking for more snowflake ideas. I really like the idea of doing snowflake and snowmen and wintry themed cards during January, kind of as we're working up towards Valentine's Day. Kind of crafting in season, I guess, if you want to call it that. And it's really fun to, as I mentioned, take some of those products that we maybe picked up for the holidays and extend the life of them. I think this would even be a beautiful background if you wanted to use some of the Simply Snowmen stamps and dies from Papertrey Inc.'s November release. I love that snowman. I know you guys do too. It would be fantastic just to place a couple of snowmen in front of these cascading dots. I think that would be very cute and add a little sentiment. Lots of great ways to use all of these products. Go ahead and die cut some of the snowflake banners, and I am using more of the portrait style snowflake banner. It comes in a trio, and there's like a one this style that would work landscape, and then there is a long skinny one. I'm going to show those. They are awesome. I love these. The perfect place for sentiment on a snowy themed card. Very, very cool. I did use the more portrait style one. I die cut it 4 times from Lawn Fawn Pixie Dust White Glitter cardstock. And then I'm just using a piercing tool to remove any of those little bits and pieces. I'm gonna put some foam tape on the back and pop it right in the center of my panel. Now, I realized after I did this, I was like, oh dang, I really wanted to stamp snowflakes on the background of my card. So I'm gonna carefully peel it up. I did tear the paper just a little bit, but I'm going to be able to hide that when I put my border back on. But let's grab a Misty and let's grab some snowflakes. And I'm going to use a couple of sets for my snowflakes. We're going to use the iconic Christmas set from Papertrey Inc. This set I'm also going to use for a couple of other things. And then I'm also going to use the Simply Snowman set for a little bit bigger snowflake. And I'm gonna lay these all out in my Misty, and I am gonna go ahead and stamp these with a tone-on-tone look. So I'm gonna grab, I think, the darkest color in each of these trios of ink that I used. And I'm gonna use my border as a guide so I know where to stamp those. I don't want to stamp them where that's going to cover them up. And then I'm simply going to stamp these on each of the backgrounds. I've got the sticky insert in my Misty, which is going to help hold my cardstock in place as I stamp, because I don't have it in the upper corner because I kind of have snowflakes all over the place. And we are going to just switch these out and switch the ink color for each. Anywhere that the stamped image overlaps the foiling, please be sure and wipe that away because the ink is just going to sit on top of that. It's really noticeable when stamping over the foiling. So this is another example of the hot foil resist and how it resists the ink, which makes the snowflakes look like they're back behind the foiling. Really, really pretty. Let's go ahead and do the blue backgrounds as well, and then we can start putting it all together. I'm also going to be using the larger than life snow die. I love this die. It has a snowflake for the letter O. I think it's so cute. We'll use some sentiments from the larger than life snow stamp set, as well as the Just Sentiments Winter. All of those products are from Papertrey Inc. A lot of the products today are from Papertrey Inc. We're going to use, the basic I use to die cut my backgrounds down, I forgot to mention. I like to use a rectangle die. You could just use a paper trimmer if you want to, but I use the Simon Says Stamp basic rectangles. Now I'm going to take that foam adhesive from Simon Says Stamp that I love. Oh, and before I do that, I did add 2 more snowflakes, and I'm just going to use an acrylic block because I'm going to use that same smallest snowflake. I don't want to line it up in my Misty. That's really time consuming. So all I did was take my acrylic block, and I'm just going to switch the ink each time, but I'm going to just stamp them straight on the background. And again, make sure and buff away any ink sitting on top of the foiling. But I really wanted to kind of just find fun ways to use all of these great new products. Or things maybe that I didn't get a chance to touch during the holidays. For that snowman set, I just want to use it more. I know I did the muslin bags with it, but I'd love to do some cards with it as well for the winter season. I think it is such a great stamp set. And then simply replacing this foam adhesive from Simon Says Stamp is my favorite. The backing paper comes off so easily. Now, these die cut beautifully, but they're very intricate, so I would recommend taking a piercing tool of some sort, popping out all those little bits and pieces. For each sentiment for the cards, I did die cut the word snow from white cardstock twice, and this is from 110-pound weight Nina smooth white cardstock. On one of those layers, I'm going to take 2 colors of ink, I believe the lightest and the medium tone, and I'm going to do an ombre effect on the word. I'm not going to worry about the snowflake. You're going to notice that I'm not really inking up a ton of the snowflake. It's okay that the ink gets on it, but I'm not worried about making sure it's colored beautifully. I want the letters to be colored, and that's because in addition to die cutting the larger than life snow word die twice from white cardstock, I die cut it from matte silver Simon Says Stamp cardstock once. And then I'm going to take my scissors and simply snip the snowflake from the word, and I'm going to replace that onto the sentiment. So we will adhere the inked up greeting on top of the white greeting just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then we're going to adhere the silver snowflake right on top of that, which really makes the snowflake stand out. All little bits and touches that you can do to really make your cards shine. So let's put a little liquid glue on the back of the word snow and glue that together. I am using the Simon Says Stamp glass mat for my inking because cleanup is such a breeze with the glass mat. I love the size of it as well. And then just a little bit of glue here on the back of the matte silver. And look how pretty this is when you line that up and adhere it down. It just makes the word pop. I love this so much. So now that we have our sentiment, and that's going to go right there on that border or that banner, I also want to find a sentiment. And the sentiment I really want to use is from this larger than life snow stamp set. However, the sentiment is stacked vertically. The lines of the greeting are one on top of another, and it really doesn't work for how I want to design my card. And usually I will just try to mask and ink it up, but where I'm mass producing these cards, I just didn't think that it was going to be the best system, and I figured there would be a lot of mistakes. So what I ended up doing, and I don't do this often, but I did trim apart the words so that I could stamp it into a horizontal sentiment strip that reads, "Delighted to have you in my life." So it's going to be "Snow delighted to have you in my life," which I love that. I think that works for a lot of occasions, but I want to just trim these out. Now, something to keep in mind when doing this, use a sharp pair of scissors, and you can always put the greeting back into the vertical that it was intended very easily. If you have a MISTI, it's very easy to just pop it in, or even on an acrylic block. They're going to go back together. Oh, I'm sorry. My head with my messy fun bun is in the way. But I'm going to line it up in my MISTI, and then I'm actually going to just line it up with one of the lines on my MISTI. I did take a little bit of time here making sure the word was nice and straight, because I'm going to move my paper, not the greeting, to stamp it multiple times. And it really did work best. I know it's a little fussy, but it worked so much easier to do this than to try to mask it off and stamp this 4 times. So that looks fantastic. It does stamp really straight. I'm going to take the darkest color in each trio of ink, and I'm simply going to stamp 4 of these borders. So again, not moving the greeting, I'm just going to move my paper, and I'm going to ink all of these up, stamp them, and then die cut them with the Simon Says Stamp Sentiment Labels dies. So I have 4 sentiment strips that I can add to my cards right underneath that word snow. And I went for a very monochromatic look. All of my text stamping anywhere, the sentiment strip, the inking for the word snow, and then I did add greetings inside my cards as well. All of that is going to be stamped in a color of ink that coordinates back to the base color of the background of our card. Now, once I have my sentiment strips, I really have pretty much everything I need. I did end up adding one extra little thing here in a bit, which I will show you. Just kind of as I was working and putting it together, I wanted to add a fun little touch. Now, I did originally think I would glue the sentiment strip or adhere the sentiment strip right to the background. But as I laid it down with that red line tape, I realized, I think I want it popped up. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go ahead and take some foam adhesive, and I'm going to place it on each end of the sentiment strip. Where it overlaps the snowflake, I'm not going to put any adhesive. That way it's going to lie flat, almost like the snowflake tucks into that little valley underneath our sentiment strip. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. I really, honestly, at this point thought I wish I'd done the entire rainbow of cards similar to the previous set I did, because I loved how these were turning out. I think I want to add like some snowflakes and gemstones, and I have several sets that come with these little snowflakes. I think this is a pretty pink posh set that I'm looking at right now, but you can also get them from Trinity Stamps, the vanilla sugar snowflakes. Snowflake sequins would look cute, just to pull a little bit more of that white into the rest of the card design. And I'll probably pull a few more of those here in a little bit, but I made a mess and I should have used a triangle tray, so I grabbed one. So it's easy to filter those back into their storage bag or little container. So I think what I want to do is stamp the snowman from the Christmas or Iconic Christmas, set with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. He's super teeny tiny. I had pulled out the Simply Snowmen stamp set thinking that I might use it, but I don't think that's going to be the perfect. It's too big for this design. And I thought, wouldn't it be cute to place a snowman right in the center of that snowflake? And this little teeny tiny snowman is perfect. So I'm going to use some Olo markers to color in the snowman carrot nose as well as the scarf. You can use any marker you want. I am not really shading or anything like that. I'm simply adding a little touch of color to match back to the background of each of these. I will list these marker colors that I used at the bottom of the post in case you're curious. And then I'm going to use the coordinating die from the Iconic Christmas set to die cut these snowmen. So let's go ahead and take our Hero Arts wire snips, snip out that little snowman, and die cut him. He's just so teeny tiny and cute. And lots of these little icons would be fantastic for other, Christmas type cards. I just went through this set and picked the things that were going to work for beyond Christmas, for winter. And you're going to see that here when we get to decorating the envelope. So I glued the snowman in place. I am going to add a little white heart to my snowman. This is a Tic Tac jelly heart from Trinity Stamps. I've got some snowflakes that I'm going to scatter all over the background. I like the little touch of white, the little touch of whimsy. This entire panel will then be attached to a white top fold card base. And I am going to do this exact same thing for all of the rest of the cards. So the 3 remaining cards are all going to be created exactly like this. I'm just not going to do it on camera so we can save a little time. Now I have 4 white A2 size envelopes from Simon Says Stamp. And from that same iconic Christmas stamp set from Papertrey Ink, I'm going to take the lines where you can stamp the address on an envelope. I love this. The only thing is the image has like little holly berries in the upper left corner. Well, I'm going to use some Post-it tape to mask that off, and then I'm going to stamp the lines of texts on each envelope. And again, I'm coordinating the ink color back to the base color of my card. I'm going to just keep reusing my Post-it tape and masking that off so I don't stamp the holly berries and stamp the lines of the lines for the address. And then I'm going to stamp the snowman with VersaFine Onyx black ink. I'm not quite done yet. I decided instead of lining up snowflakes in my MISTI, I thought it'd just be quicker to go ahead and take acrylic blocks and stamp a few snowflakes with the lightest color in each ink trio right there around the snowman. Quick, easy, coordinating envelopes. You guys know I'm all about the coordinating envelopes. How beautiful is this presentation? It matches what you're going to get in the envelope. I think it's just so pretty for the recipient to get something so cute in the mail and then open it up and find a card that matches inside. I generally don't spend tons of time on my envelopes, but I do really love being able to create a coordinating envelope when I have time. So I'm going to do this for all 4, and then I'm just going to show you a peek at each card with its matching envelope. Aren't these fun? I absolutely love how these turned out. Hot foil resist is such a beautiful technique. You get some amazing foiling, inking, die cutting, all of that good stuff. Do make sure and join me on January 6th, 2023 for a live stream where I am going to talk about all things hot foil. Thank you guys so much for joining me. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content, you'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.